By the way, I talk fast by nature. I haven't had any coffee this morning. This is how I talk. So if you want me to slow down, just tell me. Okay, but the sale of notes has been going on for decades. This is not something that was created from 2004 to 2006. Okay, it's been going on forever. Traditional lenders sell the notes that they originated. Okay? Think about it. If you were a bank and you had $1 million to lend, okay, you're in the business of lending money. You had $1 million to lend. What kind of business plan would it be if you lend $500,000 that you only had $500,000 left to lend? It's not a good business plan. Why? Because you're undercapitalized now. You don't have enough money to lend out to make money on it. So in order to get around that problem, what the traditional lenders, Wells, Chase, Citi, B of A, had done was they sold off mortgages. They sold off the notes on the secondary market. Okay? That allows them to recapture their ability to recapitalize their money and to lend it out again. Okay? That was being done forever. What happened in 2004 to 2006 is that a lot more private investors got involved in purchase of mortgages. Okay? Fannie and Freddie were always there. Okay? There were government entities out there, and they were they're government entities now, but they were private at that time, and they were buying mortgages on the secondary market forever. They were always there. And they had approximately 50% of those loans that were sold out. 80% of the loans that were originated were sold. Only 20% were kept by the servicers that you guys are dealing with every single day. Okay? So 50% were sold to Fannie and Freddie, 50% were sold to the private investors. From 04 to 06, that number shot way up. From 04 to 06, there was a lot more demand on mortgages. Why? Because it outperformed any other investment you can possibly have. From 04 to 06, any investment, think about it, tech, pork bellies, whatever, was not performing as well as housing. So what happened is that the private investors got involved in purchasing mortgages. When that happened, there was a supply-demand shift. You guys remember Economics 101, the supply-demand curve? There was a shift in the supply-demand curve, and that's what happened with the housing market. It went way skyrocket because demand went way up, supply went way up, and there's a complete shift in that supply-demand curve. So what I want you to get out of this is that the servicers most likely do not own those loans. Okay? They have to answer to their investors. Without investor approval, they can't do anything because there's something called a PSA, a pooling and servicing agreement. That pooling and servicing agreement binds the servicer's hands as what they can do. If they do anything beyond this pooling and servicing agreement, they can be in breach of contract and get sued. Okay, so when you call and say, hey, my client wants a short sale, if the servicer does not have it in their notes that the investor is allowing short sales to go through for this particular loan, they cannot say yes or no. They have to ask the investor. Okay? And what happened is a lot of times these things were sliced and diced, right? You guys heard that. There's like 5, 6, 7, 25 different owners of these loans. Okay, imagine the servicer's problem of trying to get all these investors on the same page. Okay, it's difficult. And if you guys ever seen this MSNBC show called House of Cards, anybody ever see it? House of Cards. There's always one or two. House of Cards. House of Cards is a great show on the housing market, and what you get out of that is like some town in Iceland owns mortgage-backed securities that are originated in the United States. So imagine that. You call B of A and you say, hey, Jade Smith wants to short sell this house. What do you say? And they're like, well, they're looking at their notes, like, oh, some town in Iceland owns this note. Oh, let's make a call to Iceland, set up an interpreter, and see if they want to find out if they want to short sell or not. They'll get the hang up on the other side pretty quick, right? They've probably already written it off. So this is the real estate environment you're dealing with. This is why it's taking so long. What the government tried to do with HAFA, and what is they're hoping happens, is that these private investors here are targeted under HAFA. The private investors are targeted under HAFA in the sense that they want them to initiate procedures to make the short sales go through a lot faster. And it's really a lot faster. And we'll go through it in a second. But they're trying to target those private investors. They're not worried about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They're not worried about the government. It's not worried about the traditional lenders. Why? Because they have those under control pretty much. The people they don't have under control are those private investors, and that's a huge number of loans. Okay? So let's talk about HAFA and how it plays out.
What's a PSA?
Pooling and servicing agreement.
Pooling and servicing agreement? Oh, sorry, let me do that. PSA is a pooling and servicing agreement. That's the contract that the servicer enters into with the investor. A pooling and servicing agreement. Okay. What traditional lenders found out early on is that they can make a lot more money by servicing loans as opposed to managing it. And that's what the PSAs are for. Let me explain what GSEs are. GSEs are government-sponsored entities, and non-GSEs are non-government-sponsored entities. So the private investors are non-government-sponsored entities, and that's why there is they're trying to reach these people here, okay? All right.
I got somebody to change your slide for you when you're ready. Just
Oh, you know what? It's not all in one.
Oh, it's not. Okay.